since the United States fled Afghanistan, the Taliban has been taking revenge on those.
Hi, Forrest.
Hey, Mike.
I see Stan didn't start the meeting, so I went ahead and started it.
Please seek convicted terrorists from prisons. These prisoners have been seeking revenge from those who put them in prison. This 2023 article from The Guardian outlines these horrors.
Mike, how's your wife doing?
Well, my measurement scale is as she gets more ornery, she's getting better.
Oh, okay.
She's doing much better. Thank you.
Good.
Let's see. My background is Maine. Let's change that. Let's see what we got here. How about a little Norway fjord? When we took a trip to Norway, we bought a Volvo in Sweden, and we drove it for 10 days over there in Scandinavia.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was a fun trip.
When was that?
1997. We got a 98 Volvo wagon, V90 wagon at the factory on tourist delivery program. Saved about $4,500 purchasing it from the Volvo store in Winter Park, in which we wound up easily spending that amount while we were over there. But it was a fun trip.
In the 60s, my brother-in-law, he and two other guys went to Germany, and they pre-ordered a Volkswagen, one of those combi, the campers.
Mm-hmm.
And they took delivery of it and drove it around for 2.5 months, and then shipped it back, and I bought it. And it only took about 2 weeks to get it. So.
Yeah, we picked it up in Gothenburg at the Volvo factory.
Yeah.
Gave us a tour of the factory. It was Tall Ships Week.
Yeah.
In their port, and so the tall ships were at the Volvo Museum, so we had a chance to drive over there and see all the different years of Volvos, many of which I had actually had.
Yeah.
And drove up into Norway, saw the fjords, saw the glaciers, went over to Bergen, the seaport over there, drove down into Denmark, and went to Copenhagen. And I've had a couple of expatriates living there, stayed nearby, saw their families, and then I turned the Volvo into the Volvo dealer there, and he shipped it back to Sweden, and then they shipped it to Jacksonville, and I got a letters giving me the date and the time to pick the car up in Jacks. Joyce took me over to the bus, and I took the bus up to Jacksonville, took a cab to the port, and then picked it up and drove it here.
That's good. That's a nice trip.
Yeah. Stan, if you want captions, I guess you should turn them on, although I'm not sure where to do that. I guess it's in meeting settings somewhere.
I was muted.
Hey, Drew.
They are the caps are already on.
Okay.
And you get them in more and captions if you want them. Mine come on automatically, and
Yeah, and I see the AI companion features are on, so we'll get a summary also at the end.
Hello, everybody.
I do. Forrest, good to see you.
Hey,
We're getting some good posts in the BBS, starting some interactive discussions, which is good. That's what I was intending for it to do.
Well, I learned some things. Since I last spoke to you, Mike, I spoke to Google technical support about unlocking the phone. And then I ultimately unlocked the phone today using Samsung technical support.
For the recording, why don't you give us a quick summary of what the support situation was you were called in to do?
You want to do that now or wait until 7?
Well, we can wait, although you're sorry, you might as well. It'll be on the recording.
Essentially, I had a customer of mine call me up on Sunday and tell me that they locked themselves out of their phone and I needed to help. They've always relied on me to do everything else that they screw up. So uh, it's a woman who converted from an iPhone to an Android phone several months ago, and the she already had a Gmail account that was linked to her YouTube TV, but she's not normally a Gmail email user. It was just purchased, set up for the purpose of the TV. And when she went to switch, she started to switch from an iPhone to an Android phone. And she went to Comcast and didn't know enough to tell them that she already had an active Gmail account. She had a Chromebook, she had YouTube TV, and that's the Gmail account that she wanted to use. So they set her up with a new Gmail account. And when you go through, I learned this when I had to reset the phone, that when you set up a Google Android on a Samsung phone, one of the choices is to log into Samsung using your Gmail credentials. And there's a button to either create a Samsung account or log in with Gmail. And the Comcast people just say log in with Google automatically because you don't then have to go manually enter and create a Samsung account. So that's a convenience. But what happens is if you try the wrong password too many times on the phone, and the Samsung One UI interface locks the phone, it's got nothing to do with your Gmail account. It's got nothing to do with your Gmail password. Remotely locking your phone with Gmail has got nothing to do with the Samsung lock screen either. And after speaking to Google, they said it's, essentially not our problem. And they forwarded me over to Samsung technical support. And Samsung told me that the woman's phone, in the situation that it was in, required a hard reset, and that there was no way to just simply unlock the phone. And so she had me hold down the volume down button and the off button, the power button, to force the phone to shut down and power off, because the phone won't power off by itself if it's locked in this mode. So you have to hold down two buttons and forcibly power off the phone. And then I had to, when the phone was off, press and hold the power button and the volume up button at the same time until I got a new command prompt menu. And I was able to use the volume up and down buttons to scroll down to the entry labeled factory reset. And I hit the enter button or the power button for factory reset. It wiped out the phone and brought it back to rebooted. And I had to set up the phone from scratch. And when it came time to create the Samsung account, I again chose to use the Gmail account the same
But
way.
the old Gmail account?
Yes, the one that I did. Yeah, the same exact one because I knew the user ID and password. So I went through the phone setup again, and there's an option during that restore process to restore from backup. Only it's not restoring it from a Google backup; it's restoring it from a Samsung backup. And it was able to successfully, from the Samsung cloud, restore her call log, her contacts, which were stored in the Samsung Contacts app, and um, it restored the bright keyboard settings, the high contrast keyboard that she had before. It restored all of the font settings that she had before. Um, the only thing it didn't do, it didn't set up any Google stuff. Google Photos was not set up to be the default to back up any photos. So if she at that point took photos, they were not being backed up to her Google account. And it took about a half an hour for me to figure out how to activate the synchronization between the Samsung and the Google. And I don't have a way of explaining how I did it until I did it enough times that it eventually just said, I give up and it'll work. And her phone is now successfully backing up to Google Photos and all of her Google contacts and everything. So if the phone has a problem again, it's now backed up to Samsung for contacts and call logs, and it's backed up to Google for contacts, call logs, and pictures. So, and she decided that she did not want to have a lock screen. So during the setup of the phone, I had an opportunity to set up the lock screen, and she said, no, I don't want a lock screen. I just want the phone to turn on and be usable. And so that is the condition of the phone today. She has her contacts back. She has her email back. She has, I set up her printer. I had to manually reset up her printer. But other than that, she's back in operation with a phone that you just power on and then swipe up to unlock, to get to the home screen.
Did you tell me earlier that she also had a Chromebook?
She has a Chromebook too. Yes.
And did that have problems with the Google account, or was just because Comcast gave her a new Google account when they gave her the phone?
Yeah. The Chromebook doesn't even know about the new Google account.
Guys, I gotta do something in the other room. I'll be back in a few.
Okay.
Yeah. Her TV, I printed everything out for her on a big sheet of paper in big bold letters so that she would have them. Because unfortunately, she's an elderly woman in her 80s. She's losing her vision and has to keep the blinds down and the room dark. And she had a tooth extracted yesterday, so she wasn't feeling too well. Um, but she has her phone back. And she has a sheet of paper now that describes that her Chromebook and her TV are linked to one Google account, and her phone is linked to a different Google account. But I have it set up now so that she doesn't need to know or understand that the phone is connected to a Google account. She's just going to turn the phone on and use it. And if she adds a contact to the Samsung contacts, it'll sync it to Google and Samsung at this point. And so little chance that she'll screw things up with the phone again, hopefully. Although after I fixed her up with the Chromebook, she managed to whitewash it and set it, but yeah. And I went to, she said she couldn't log in. When I went back to her house, it was back to manufacturer's defaults. It didn't even have an account logged on. And then she had gone through and set up her new Comcast account on the Chromebook. So I had to set up her primary account that she was using on her Chromebook as a second account because I would have had to whitewash the damn thing again, which I probably should have. But this is a person that's a victim of switching from one Google account to another because she switched from Apple to Android and didn't know enough, and the Comcast people didn't ask enough. And she now has to understand that uh, her phone lock code was I don't know whether it was a lock password or a PIN code or what it was. It might have been a PIN code, but it wasn't anything that I could recover. And so after several hours and a couple $100 in fees, she's got her phone back.
That's technology today.
And then I set up a new Bitwarden account for her, and I tied it to her Comcast email address, which is her primary email. And when I went to Bitwarden, it told me that there was already an email address associated with that email address. I couldn't set up a Bitwarden account with that email account. And it turns out that her children had once set up a Bitwarden account for her using that address. So I just tried her valid Comcast password, and it let me into Bitwarden using her Comcast email and password. And it showed a single entry for a Microsoft Surface that she doesn't use anymore. That was her computer before I gave her the Chromebook. A poor vision person was using a Microsoft tablet with an 11-inch screen. It wasn't even the full size tablet. It was the Samsung. It was the Go version of the tablet. So he went from an 11-inch to a 17-inch screen with enhanced fonts and vision correction things. But hopefully, I installed the Rustdesk client on her phone just so in case she has a problem, I can re-log into her phone.
Looks
And
like you stayed busy with that one.
I stayed busy with that one. And then in addition to this, I screwed up my own phone yesterday. And I had a challenge to get it back together. I was out to lunch with a friend of mine who has hearing aids. While we were at the restaurant, I went into my Samsung settings and accessibility, and there are some hearing aid options. So I was looking through there to see if anything might help him. And while I was in there, I accidentally enabled a feature on the Samsung phone called TalkBack. TalkBack is for the visually impaired, and it makes the phone, when you tap on a button, it tells you that you just tapped on the button, but it doesn't actually do anything. So when the phone locked up, it was under the control of uh, the disability features. So when the home screen, when it came up to the lock screen to unlock it, I couldn't figure out how to unlock it. Every time I pressed on something on the screen, it just told me what I was pressing on. And my friend said, I'm an Android expert. Let me fix it. And I just let him work on it. And we were at his house, and I let him work on it for like a half an hour. And he got up, he got himself a glass of wine, then he sat down again, and he was really frustrated trying to figure out how to get my phone back to normal. And eventually I said, just leave it. I'll get it when I get home. When I got home, I turned on my computer and I told Microsoft Copilot what I did at the restaurant. I said that I turned on, I was playing around with my phone. I went into accessibility, and now my phone is talking to me, and I can't figure out how to unlock it. And Copilot came back and said, it sounds like you're describing to me that you activated the talkback feature. And it proceeded to tell me that when you're in this disability mode, you don't use one finger to swipe up and unlock the phone. You use two fingers to swipe up and unlock the phone. And I used two fingers to swipe up, and the damn thing worked. And I had to go into settings and disable the talkback feature. But it was Microsoft Copilot in 30 seconds gave me the answer this guy couldn't figure out in 45 minutes, searching over Google.
Yeah, I used Copilot today to solve some of the problems we've been talking about on web browsers and Thorium and stuff. After you gave me some suggestions, and Harry gave me some suggestions, and several other people gave me suggestions, I just went to AI. I asked Gemini, which was a total waste of time. And then I asked Copilot, and they gave me the exact specifics and where to find the downloads. And so that's where I sit on that.
By the
You
way,
have to be persistent when you use AI.
I forgot to mention in our message this afternoon, I didn't install the program. I just ran it from one of my backup drives.
Yeah.
So that may also be why I got such a low score using it.
Could be.
I tried using Thorium at my house the first day, and I got a score of 26.
That's high.
I got a score of 23 while I had this was with I didn't have the computer completely blank. I still had Brave running in the background with about 10 windows and 150 tabs open. So that I could probably get a 30 on this machine if I actually shut everything off except for Thorium.
Yesterday, when Stan and I were talking about this, and we were talking about how slow his computer was, he figured he had about 40 tabs open. So, and I've run into cases where I've gone to people's homes, or I've talked to them on the phone, or I've shared screens. They've shared screens with me, and their browsers are open, and it's one guy I know would easily have 60 to 70 tabs open. Never shut his computer off, just turn his monitor off. And that's the way he did business. He said, I just keep it up that way, So.
And I went to a friend's house yesterday and I said, look at this cool new browser that I got. And I did a speed test on his computer, on my computer at his house, and it rated me at about 6 megabytes per second download speed. And I couldn't get 6. And I tried doing some downloads of files, and they were coming down at less than a megabyte per second. And I couldn't get the Thorium browser that was giving me a 26 at my house to do squat at his house. And since then, I've discovered that the different flavor, there's a lot of different flavors of Thorium, and there's different setup versions. And going to their homepage is very confusing to find out where the proper download is.
Yes.
They don't give you an obvious way to say, this is the version that you should be running, and here it is.
Yep.
I discovered multiple versions of Thorium. One that was an AVX, one that was an AVX2, one that said there was an SE something or other. The Linux instructions did not talk about the AVV2 X2. It talked about the SE version. I downloaded what might be a beta. I'm not sure, but I'm running the AVX2 version, and I was trying to download some large files at his house, and they didn't work in the browser. They just wouldn't come down. I don't know why. I am accustomed to downloading large files on Linux using wget, which is a command line utility for downloading files. And I have a DOS Windows version of wget. And at his house, I opened up a command terminal and I copied the hyperlink off the website, and I used wget at the command prompt and put in the hyperlink. It downloaded 10 gigabytes of data in, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. And it got over 200 megabytes per second. When I used speed test, I have the CLI command line edition version of speed test. Speed test in Windows gave me, on a browser, gave me 8 megabits per second. At the command prompt, it gave me 250.
A bit of a difference.
And I was able to download 10 gigabytes, a single 10 gig file, faster than I could download a 2 gig file in the browser. And if any of you ever need to download large files, like for example, Microsoft releases periodically virtual machines of Windows 11 for developers. And it's in the form of a virtual machine appliance. So you download it for VMware or VirtualBox. The VirtualBox download file is 26 gigabytes in a single file. And when you download it in a browser, it can take a really, really long time. And when you do it at the command line in Windows, it takes about half the time. I've discovered that the larger the file, the faster it downloads from the command prompt than it does from the browser. The browser puts so much overhead on the download speed that when you download files from the command prompt, they fly a lot faster than they do in a browser.
There used to be shareware, I believe, that would be a download manager. And
Yes.
you would paste in a link into the program, and in the settings, you could tell it how to download the file. And the internet really doesn't care how many connections you have and how many threads you're running. I mean, it gets a command for each packet, and it just reassembles them on your computer. So if you have a manager that can manage the threads of your computer, for example, I've got 16 threads in 8 cores. So you can assign it to use, say, all 16 threads to download. So each one of those threads is now handling a portion of the same file that you're downloading and reassemble it. Or you set up multiple downloads and you can assign 8, say, to 2 different downloads or something along those lines. And I remember using that back in the days of the dual core machines and then the 4 core machines. And it really sped up, especially when we were dealing with 10 megabits per second, and then 20 megabits per second, and then 50 megabits per second, the default speeds of cable back then. And of course now I'm at 300 megabits, and a lot of people are up at a gigabit and higher.
And so the amount of loss that you have in a browser, if you're downloading a file that's only 100 megabytes or 50 megabytes, it really doesn't make a difference if you do it in your browser or at the command prompt. But if you're downloading something that's several gigabytes, there's a program in Linux that you might know of, Mike, called wget. There's a new version of wget called wget 2 that's multi-threaded. wget is single-threaded. wget 2 is a multi-threaded downloader, and it's available for Windows. You know, using the I downloaded it using Winget. So I have wget 2 installed on my Windows computer, and that does a multi-threaded download of files. And I think the program that you were referring to was called ADM, Advanced Download Manager.
Could have been. Been a
And
while.
that's still in the Google Play App Store. So you can actually install the Advanced Download Manager on Google Play on your cell phone, and then have it download things that you do in your browser. Um, there might still be a version of it available for Windows. I haven't looked, but I do a lot of large file downloads, and I've discovered that beyond a gigabyte or 2 gigabytes, I don't bother doing it in a browser anymore. I do it at the command prompt because it works so much faster. Um, if any of you run the client version of speed test, you'll get numbers that are a lot higher than you'll get in your Windows browser, and they'll more likely match the numbers that you get from your provider. So if you're paying, I pay for 800 down. In my web browser, speed test tells me I get a maximum download rate of about 400. And the command line the command line version of speed test gives me about 750 from running them consecutively, one right after the other, without shutting down or switching or doing anything. At the command prompt, it tells me what I'm getting better than it does in Windows. And when I download at the command prompt, I'm getting that 700 megabytes per second download, but I don't get it in the browser.
The speed test that you're talking about running at the command line, where do you get that for Windows?
From speedtest.net.
Okay, so they actually have a download that you
They,
can
they, they,
download.
they, they have a download version. I installed it more easily just using, I believe I used a tool from GitHub. Somebody wrote a really nice tool called speedtest.ps1, which is a PowerShell script. And basically what you do is you run the PowerShell script. It goes out, downloads the latest version of Speedtest client, runs it for you, and then deletes it all. Cleans up after itself, so that you don't have to install anything on your computer. You just run the speed test. And what I'll probably do, not at the right now, but after the meeting, I'll put some information into Discord where you can download the client version from. You can get it directly from Speedtest if you hunt around on their website download page for it. And you can get it from Winget, and you can get it from GitHub. GitHub has a self-running program that you run it, and it goes out and gets the latest version of Speedtest client, runs it for you, and then cleans up and leaves you nothing left behind. Really kind of neat.
Put that in utilities if you would.
I will do that.
Okay. And for those that are watching now or those that are seeing the video later, that's one of the advantages of our CFCS Discord bulletin board system, that as we think about things that we'd like to share, in the past, I guess we would put it on our TechSIG and send it out as an email. But lots of people have thousands of emails filed away maybe, or just sitting in an inbox, as the case may be. And then you don't know where to go to find the things. And you think to yourself, well, I can remember we talked about that at a TechSIG a couple of months ago. And yeah, we got the video for that, but I don't remember what he said and where he went to get it, that sort of thing. So if you think about the subject, and if the person that brought it up is willing to do it, you just go to the BBS, post it, and it's there for lookup and for reference, classified by the subject. So we'll keep that going for a while, and we'll see how much interest there is.
If you go to the speedtest.net website,
Yep.
and where they have the Go, where you can run the Windows speed test, if you scroll all the way to the bottom to the area where it's black, the second column from the left is where it says apps. and then there is a version that says CLI, and that's what you want to click on.
I'm going to share my screen here for a second, and I'll bring up, if I can get these things smaller. Get down to it. Okay, I'll come over here, and I will find, I just use Edge. Minimize these for a minute. Okay, so we want speedtest.net.
And then just scroll all the way down until you see
CLI?
CLI.
Internet for Developers.
And then what you can do is scroll down.
Keep going. Windows.
And get it for Windows.
Okay, download for Windows. What would you like to do with that? Save as. Okay, I'm just gonna put it on the desktop. Oh, it's a zip file. Okay, well, we'll stick it in downloads. So. Okay, save it. Go to the folder. Okay, let's extract it to here. And, okay, so this is what you would run the command line for that?
Yes, you run that at a prompt.
At a prompt. Okay, so if I clicked on it, that wouldn't do it. So I really want to put that under desktop, or I just put it on the C drive.
I usually just keep it in I have a folder in my home drive called bin, and I put all of this kind of stuff in there.
And I'll just put it up here and put it right on the C drive. Paste. Let's see what it said. Administrative. Yep. Okay, I'm going to minimize that. Close that. We'll go on the other screen. I'm going to get my command line. Let's see here. Does it have to be done administratively?
No.
Command prompt. Open. Okay, I'll bring that over onto the screen. Change directory to the root and just type speed test.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, let's make this bigger.
So now you're getting your download speed is 368. And your upload.
I'm paying for 300. Upload is very slow. It should be symmetrical. It's interesting. Just for kicks, let me bring that browser back up. And I'll bring it back over. Throw this back up here again. Where are we? Okay. Go back here. Okay, back. Okay, let's just see what the browser shows me. Okay, so
It's showing better results.
So let's see what the upload winds up being.
I never get in Windows speed that matches the command line. That's interesting. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it should be 360 also because it's fiber. If I run this on my Linux computer, which is on the same network, plugged into the same modem, I'll get 360. So I have some overhead on this particular computer in the uploading for some reason. It may well be I'm using DNS management, things like that. So
I'm curious.
But it is interesting the difference, though. Let's bring up So the command prompt again was showing us
Same.
368, about the same, yeah. But upload was showing 50. So must be some overhead getting that. For some reason that it would be
Yeah. I don't
packet
know why it failed, but
loss. I don't know what that's telling me. No, there was no packet loss. Okay. Interesting.
it's
Okay.
interesting that it failed to upload at an accurate level.
Yeah. Or that may be the actual upload going through the command prompt in the so-called MS-DOS emulator or whatever it's running at the command line. So,
Because my Comcast upload speed is 25, and I get 25 at the command prompt.
interesting.
But I got better results using the command line. When I download a Microsoft file, it's 20 gigabytes. Sometimes the browser won't even download the whole thing; it'll fail, and the command line downloads it all the time.
Do you notice a difference between browsers?
Not enough to discourage me from using the command line. I find that for anything over 2 gigabytes or even over 1 gigabyte, and it's coming from a web server, and I have a URL for it. I do it at the DOS command prompt with wget or wget2.
Can I ask an unrelated question?
Sure.
I don't want to derail your thinking.
Go ahead.
Okay. So some of you know that in the last 2 weeks, I switched from coaxial cable to fiber optic. It's been interesting. Some of it I understand totally. Some of it I just have a vague notion. Some of it I'm clueless on. So I'm dependent on the technicians at the company. And that's never a good position to be in. First half of the question is wirelessly, I currently have, it's a Wi-Fi 6 setup. I currently have 19 wireless devices, but I have a total of 5 cameras that I hooked up to make sure that they're working, but then I took them offline. And when we come back to Florida, obviously I want to put them back on, which would put me at 24 or 25 devices. And the literature says you can't have more than 23, that it can't handle more than 23. When I called technical support, they said because it's a smart Wi-Fi system, that it's unlimited. And I understand that to some extent, the smart Wi-Fi is offloading what's not in use and going back and forth. But without getting into that, does anybody have any experience? Is it true that you can have an unlimited number of wireless items on the Wi-Fi network?
You said your router is Wi-Fi 6 or your camera is Wi-Fi 6.
Not likely.
So it would seem to me if it's the protocol that's doing this, it would require that both the router and the device both be using that protocol, even though the router is capable of downgrading to lesser protocols. And how much of that smartness goes with it.
Now,
When
what
they say
router are
it's
you using? What is the router?
What router are you using, Harry?
It's proprietary from Optimum. I don't even know if I have to take a look if there's a brand name on it. I don't know. It's their equipment. I decided this time to not put together my equipment with their equipment. So I'm holding off on my own extender and have their extender as well as their gateway. But have you heard of something like that? There's a limit of 23 devices. Does that sound familiar from other people's?
Never. I've been on Wi-Fi networks that have hundreds of users on them. I don't know why they would say 23 or 24 or 25.
Sounds like a question for AI and more than one AI just to see if you get the same answer.
Okay,
Now,
I'll do that.
I was the gentleman who I was visiting yesterday has a Verizon cellular internet home. He was fed up with Comcast. He was fed up with fight with Frontier, and he decided to go with Verizon. So he actually has a Verizon Wi-Fi, so a wireless hotspot at his house, and that might have contributed to the. He was concerned that that there were too many devices online as to why my Windows computer was failing on his network. Um, and the differential between the browser and the command line might have been because we had a number of devices running simultaneously on a wireless internet.
Well, but the question is whether the hard limit of 23 is built
I,
into Optimum's
I,
equipment. I mean, it's a strange number. It's not a
yeah,
power of two. It's not, I have no idea
Okay,
what
I just sent something to Copilot and asked them how many devices can you put on there? And it says home network rule of thumb. When it comes to your home network, consider a more intimate gathering. Think of it as hosting a cozy dinner party rather than a wild rave. Recommended, keep the number of connected devices to around 45. This ensures that your bandwidth doesn't get overwhelmed by too much simultaneous activity.
yeah,
Also,
yeah.
whether you're in the 2.4 or 5 gigahertz bandwidth, and I know Paul's more up on, what your
many of
throughput
these
is.
items can only accept 2.4, but a
Yeah,
couple of them can accept 5 or dual band.
and
And
with,
by the way, I want to thank both of you, Mike and Drew, from the other day for your comments about USB 3.0 and so, which is a separate item. And the other half of the question is, if in fact the gateway is better than the gateway 5 that I used to have, maybe I don't even need the extender. It's only $3 a month. I'm not going to get crazy, but I was curious and I couldn't find any way to check. How do I know which devices are getting the signal from the gateway and which devices are getting it from the extender? And you're not going to believe what the technician
Well,
told me.
well,
Unplug the extender. I said, I know I could do that, but is there another way? Is there
well.
a
If
panel somewhere that I could check? She had no idea.
well, the extender that they're giving you might very well be the second half of a two-node mesh network, and those are designed to work automatically without you worrying about which one you're connecting to. And a lot of companies, I know that Frontier here, they're delivering devices to people's homes that are actually mesh routers. And the extender is not an old-fashioned, old-style extender. It's actually just the second node of a mesh network. And you shouldn't really care which one you connect to.
Harry, what kind of cell phone do you have?
My cell phone
Yeah,
is my cell phone is not on the network. It's a Motorola G5.
okay, so it's Android.
It's Android, yeah.
Okay, my recommendation is to go to the Google Play Store and download the app called Wi-Fi Analyzer. It's free. There will be several other apps similar to it, but you actually want the one whose name is actually Wi-Fi Analyzer.
Yep.
Wi-Fi Analyzer, okay, I don't know. I need to do this properly. I need to turn off my background.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
No, but I've got it on the screen, so I might as well do it. So let me just turn my background off so we're seeing.
I wasn't trying to steer the group to anything.
No, that's fine.
My apologies.
So this is one of the displays. And what you're seeing right now, that is the 5 gigahertz display of the different channels from 36 to 52. So you can obviously see this guy's got the closest bandwidth, and I'm sure that's coming from my router. And it does say Asus 1. And then I'm on a mesh network with 3 satellites. And so the next 3 down are from other areas of the house
Right.
where those extenders are. So, and there's all kinds of displays on here. You can get throughput, you can get used channels, you can switch over to the 2.4, and you can see if, like right now, the only thing that looks like it's even competing in the 5 gigahertz range is this one that's over here that's not mine. So it might be a neighbor's system and it's off the channel center. So what I have done a number of times, especially when I'm near a college and we have houses for rent with students, and they come in with their Wi-Fi and all the rest of that, and they're, maybe 100 feet from me, 50 feet from me, 200 feet from me, that type of thing. And when college is in session and the new students come in and start renting, they don't pay attention to what channels they're on. And I like to manually choose my channels anyway. So every 6 months or so, I'll go outside and I'll just walk around the house and take a look and see what channels are out there and how many are interfering with me. And I like to get the 2.4 because, as you said, I've got some cameras that are only on 2.4 myself, and make sure that that my security system is actually seeing them all and they're all on good channels. But it's a great tool.
All right, I'll check it out. I'll check it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, actually, I just went into the Google Play App Store. I have 2 apps installed on my phone that are both labeled Wi-Fi Space Analyzer. One of them is from a company called Algor, and the other one is from a company called VRAM.
Al Gore. Okay. Let me just hit help and see what this says. Help about. Author is Kevin Ewan. Wi-Fi Analyzer 3.11.2. Author Kevin Yuan.
Version author.
I'm using that one too, Mike.
Okay. I've had his analyzer for years on all kinds of Android phones. And for some reason, Apple doesn't allow apps like that on their app store. I don't know why they would, but to the best of my knowledge, you can't get it for the Apple. Can't get it for iOS. Any of them for iOS. By the way, that's what our skies look like today. Almost got hit by those clouds and rain. Thankfully, not today. Stan, you're muted. And why don't you jump in here, since we kicked this off really formally, and just tell everybody, including our video watchers later on, what we're doing.
I was commenting about your clouds. We had a couple of really good downpours about 4 o'clock, I guess. So, and yesterday was broken.
Yeah. So what is this group and why are we here?
TechSIG has been at it since, I guess, the 80s. No set format, no speaker for the evening. Just go around the table. Everybody brings in their projects, questions, new software, new gadgets, that kind of thing. And, I've always enjoyed it, and glad to see it's still going.
Well, since you have the floor, why don't you tell us what you've been doing since the last TechSIG?
Been doing more with the Discord, and there are no closed captions on that. So I figured, okay, I got to get more sound out of the whatever computer I'm using. So people have been talking about $10 sound bars, and they are now really $35 to $50 if you look on Amazon and eBay. So I wound up looking at Walmart, and I picked up what is here it is. This is an external speaker. You can see it reasonably well there. Well,
It's popping in and out of your bridge. Yeah.
and it's got a battery in it. It connects by USB and sound cable, and you can disconnect it and play stuff on. So it will load, I think, 2 hours worth of music or like a podcast, a book. It was $12 at Walmart reduced, and it's Bluetooth. And I've been fighting with Bluetooth. I got a $10 dongle adapter to put it onto this computer. It sees it. This is charging. I can't make them talk to each other. I have spent hours on it. I thought about maybe taking the whole system, like the Andre class, or maybe Mike, or trying to do with Zoom. But I figured, I've spent so much time on it. I looked on eBay last night and I found one $10.41, free shipping, and it'll be here Friday or Saturday. It's USB. I won't have to fight trying to make a Bluetooth work. That's pretty much been it. I've been fighting with trying to resurrect the house after the lightning strikes took out our pool pump, a bunch of conduit, trying to get new insurance and having the 4-point inspection not like the systems that people had installed, so having to do another panel outside on the house. I just had to leave because the guy came back to finish off putting a 10-foot lightning rod on the relatively new high vac AC system on the house. We have them on the pool pump motor now, but
Lightning rod or grounding rod? Lightning rod, grounding.
Grounding rod.
Grounding rod. Okay. Yeah.
And also, interestingly, the guy is talking about doing a lightning rod on each end of the house. You have to connect those to each other and then to the lightning rod. And he started off saying it'd probably be about $6,000. Then it came down to $4,500. So I asked my next door neighbor, who happens to be he does inspections of homes, not to the point of a 4-point or wind mitigation, but he said you never see those on houses. I talked to a guy from Duke Energy who had done an energy evaluation on the house, and he said you never see those. He said they're not code. He said he wouldn't bother with them at all. And he said what he would recommend is to put a surge protector on the whole house, which Duke provides. And I thought those were, kind of hopefully not necessary. I thought they were much more expensive. I thought they were like $100. They're $9.99 a month for the 220 and $3 additional for a 110 line. And they're coming to install that in a few days. So.
And don't they also come with their own insurance so that if you do get struck up to a certain amount, you can put a claim in?
I believe so. You're right. Do you have those?
I have that.
I did evaluate that because in a previous life, well before Duke Energy, and then what were they before that, and then what were they before that? They did sell me a plan like that, and lightning did strike in our backyard, and it took out a printer here in the back of my office. It took out the garage door opener, took out some of the appliances in the kitchen, their control panels and stuff. And so I said, okay, guys, you put this in. It's your system. I want to file a claim. He said, oh, we don't cover lightning. I said, what? No, that's a surge system. If there's a surge that comes through our lines, you're covered. But if lightning strikes the ground somewhere near your house, or neighbor's house, or tree, or whatever, and that lightning gets into your house through induction, our surge suppressors aren't designed for that, and we don't cover you. So always, even the warranties that come with UPSs, always read the fine print to see if you're covered. You may find you are, or you may find you're not. So we do have a whole house system that I investigated. It's a box about the size, so I don't know, maybe that size by this high, and it connects between the meter and the entrance panel of the house on the main lines, the two hot and the one ground that comes through. And then as you open the cover of it, it has removable surge modules. And so if lightning or something else takes them out, they're sacrificial modules. And theoretically, the surge doesn't come into your house, theoretically. But my thought even on those is, let's say something strikes in the backyard and the panel's in the front, and it's not coming in on the wiring, it's literally the induction is coming through the ground and meets with the wiring that's in the walls of my house, then that surge arrest isn't going to help me, even though it's a whole house surge arrest. But yeah, I've got that. And when we changed our HVAC system, I asked the installers, okay, do you sell a dedicated surge arrest for your compressor and your air handler? And they say, we do. And it's $125 extra each. Okay, put them in. But I read the warranties on those too, and it doesn't look like true lightning. Acts of God is sometimes used. So to me, they're sacrificial devices designed to protect your equipment, and hopefully they'll go and you'll replace them, and then you're back in business. Fingers crossed. But around here, those clouds, especially at this time of year now, the lightning is here in Florida is pretty bad. We're I think second in the nation. Is Florida second in the nation for lightning strikes? Something like that. Pretty nasty stuff. Anything else, Dan? Okay.
Question. Don't recall where I heard it, but hibernation. I don't turn off the machine all the time. And somebody said that if you have an SSD drive, that will reduce the life of the SSD. Does that make any sense to anybody?
SSDs, the read cycle does not usually lower its life. It's the write cycle, how many write cycles per second and how many are made. So if you are hibernating on a regular basis, you are copying everything that's in memory to unused or reused cycles on the cells on the SSD. So compared to somebody who just turns their computer off, and now with Windows 10 started it, Windows 11 continued it, they basically have a hybrid shutdown. So some of it memory is being written to your SSD anyway, so that you have a faster startup. If you have a true shutdown, power off shutdown, then you're not doing a hybrid write. So I believe that is correct. Somebody watching this can say, no, you're full of it, but it's my understanding that the more writes you do to an SSD, the shorter the life is. Another good question for AI and compare them and see what they have to say.
All right, thank you. No, I think that's about it for me.
Forrest, what you been working on?
No, nothing.
Nothing at all, just using your computer as an appliance.
Yep.
We should all be doing that.
I haven't been able to download Discord yet. I'll get back with you sometime. I have not had.
Anytime.
I hadn't had any luck doing that. So
You do have an account, and as many of us have found, and Stan the other day twice, if you have a previous account on Discord and you don't remember your password, and you try to go through the password recovery process, it's not nice and easy, kind of like Drew had with Google and Samsung.
I've never had an account with them, but
Yeah, you do.
it starts installing, but then it doesn't do it. It says it's a failure.
You're actually, if I share my screen and show you, I'll bring this up here. Let me go to my screen too, and share, and then bring up Discord. I go over here to the right column and go down. I think I'm going to get down to the F's here. Just a minute. There you go, Forrest. Okay, Forrest, you have 2 accounts.
I do.
Yeah. You have this one. Okay, Forrest 3874. And you have this one, Forrest 3069. So 2 times in the past, you got on. And as I recall, when we were trying this out in 2020, we actually set up a BOD channel, our server,
Right.
and you probably logged on one of them the first time and came into the CFCS Discord.
One of them's 301, 3074, and what's the other one?
3069.
How do I get to that?
So what you do is you go to discord.com
Uh-huh.
and you go to login and then enter in Forest 3069 as the name or the email that you think was associated with that.
Okay.
Also a problem. And then there'll be a password and you say forgot password and it's going to send an email. Now the problem you run into as I had, some of my old accounts were with Yahoo, and I've long since gotten rid of my Yahoo accounts. So I've been unable to recover a lot of things because all the verifications wanted to go to email accounts that no longer exist. So worst comes to worst, if you can't get into either one and you didn't use a current email address that's now your current email address, then you could create a third account and use the current email address, and you'd come in. And what I would do is I can actually go in and I can kick it. So I can kick those old accounts if I have to. And in Stan's case, that's what I wound up doing, is kicking the old accounts. And he was able to get in.
Okay, I just found that. First time I found it, it's just now. Okay, I'll try it a little bit.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep. Mr. Vogel, what you been up to? Unmute. There you go.
Nothing good.
Well, I know you've been playing with that gadget of yours. Ting, is it?
Ting, yes.
Ting.
Of all the improbable names.
Well, for those that were unaware of it, why don't you tell us what Ting is and then what you've been doing with it lately?
Well, Ting is a device that you plug into one of the outlets in your house that is supposed to monitor your power to look for anything that might cause a hazard, and it will alert the people at Ting who will manage how to handle it. If it's something that can be handled simply in your house, they'll do that. If it's likely to cause a fire, they'll work with an electrician. And their description is very impressive. But it also gives you a graph of the power coming into your house, and you can see the fluctuation in your voltage. Voltage apparently is supposed to stay within a certain range. It's never precisely 120, but it is supposed to stay with this range. And I've been using it now, I guess, since August, what was the 7th or something like that. And I've seen several things. It shows you a history day by day of what the voltage variations have been.
I was trying to see if they put a picture. Yeah, they started to show the alerts that come up on your phone here.
Yeah.
Let's see if it comes up.
How
And
much was that, Dick?
Ting.
Ting, T is in Tom, ING.
No, I know, I heard that, but what was the price? About $100?
It's free if you have State Farm insurance,
And
I don't have State
if you
Farm.
don't,
but it is $100 if you don't.
yeah, there's the app, showing the app right there. And it's supposed to pick up fire safety from arcing in the wires. Arcing, even if it's mini arcs, that's enough of a variation in the signal that's on your home wiring that the app will pick it up. To see if it shows anything else. No, there are a bunch of. Anyway, if you go to tingfire.com. Anything else?
Mostly I've been working with genealogy stuff.
Okay. Paul, welcome. It's been a while since we've had you on the TechSIG. What's happening in your neighborhood? Unmute. And turn your camera on, unless you stepped away from the screen. I guess he stepped away. He'll come back. Okay, well, I'm going to go back again as long as I have the floor. And I'm going to go to the BBS, since that seems to be my big project of late. One of the things that I discovered this last week is that the Discord system allows putting into the server an event manager. And so as an admin, I can create an event. So the very first thing I did earlier in the week was create a coffee and chat as an event. And basically saying 9 a.m. And by the way, all the times that are here, for those that are not in the Eastern time zone, the client is supposed to actually put your current time on there, which is kind of good. And I have to remember that if I actually type in the description that we're doing this 9, 8, 7, and 6. But at any rate, it uses our chat rooms. So we have 2 chat rooms, which are general. If you're just going to jump in and talk with somebody, you can use that. And then the coffee and chat, which is not currently active, is activated a few minutes before 9 o'clock every morning Eastern time. And I'll go ahead and jump in there and continue preparing my breakfast and whatever. And anybody that comes in wants to talk for an hour or so, or even longer, if you stick around longer, you can just stay in the chat room and chat. And when the event is up, that doesn't go away. That's there. So the video is pretty good. I just don't want to turn it on now while we're doing Zoom and seeing it could interfere. I guess I'll have to do a test one of these days. And if I go over here, if I just jump out of that for the moment, I'll just go back up to the top. And I've reordered some of the primary channels when people come in for the first time. The very first time, that's what they see in the administrative channel. And then we've had an Ask It basket at all of our in-person meetings over the past years, and it was kind of buried further down. And I know a lot of people were posting questions in the different subject channels. So I moved it up here so that everybody could see it. And we've had some interesting discussions in here. And let me just, first time anybody comes in, there it is. The real Ask It basket with slips having questions on it. So this goes back to May 29th of 2020 when this was created. But we've gotten now a whole bunch of stuff in here going all the way down through recently. Let's go right down here. Harry and I were talking about stuff, and Drew had some comments as well. So we've got stuff through today in the Ask It basket. And I may go ahead and archive some of these things separately, but for now I'll leave it until it gets really too long. And then if you got questions about the BBS and how does it work and so on, this is where you would ask those questions, and I'm archiving videos and presentations. So for Saturday, I did a presentation on Discord focused on our BBS, and APCUG is going to eventually post the video of that conference. So what I had done is use Camtasia to rehearse, and I've got a video that's not quite polished, and but it's good. So that if you've got 45 minutes or so and you really want to see how you get into Discord, literally from starting from scratch, that'll walk you through it. And then if you go onto YouTube and just type in how to use Discord, you're going to get 40 or 50 videos. So I took a look at this some time ago. Let's see, when did I post that? July 1st. And I thought this was a pretty good beginner's guide to it as well. But it really does operate like the old BBSs did. We had forums, which is what our channels were called in the old, and they were by either topics or subject matter. And I'm trying to keep things more or less organized. And the way that the space is used on the BBS, we don't have a space limit, which is interesting. Each individual, for what they upload, that's their information, has, I think it's 8 gigabytes, I think, I don't remember what it was. Drew looked into it with AI and came back with it. But the actual server itself does not have a high-end storage area. It just times things out after a week in most cases. For instance, if I go here and I ask it about this channel, it's going to tell me that if nobody posts anything to that channel after a week, the channel's not going to show up. So that's not what I wanted. I wanted the channels to be there all the time so people could see. So this is up usually, and once a day I'll just go through various different technical sources of information, a lot of Kim Commando newsletters, or what Huey covers in the WinSig, things like that. And I'll just find places to post stuff. And typically the most active is security. I mean, there's so much going on with hackers out there that you almost can't go a day with something affecting our security online. So there's lots of posts keeping this active. And October is going to be Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And Judy Tallur with APCUG covered that Saturday and said this is something that she wants to have all user groups be aware of. So I went ahead and signed up for that. And I'll start posting this in October when they go active. So I set that up. And finally, I guess for those that still haven't checked out all the things with Discord, the actual display defaults to a full window and a full screen. You don't see any of our members here, except when you go in to see who chatted. So right up here is the head and shoulders, and it's something everybody should turn on when they come to Discord. And you'll see, okay, here's all the members, and right now there's actually 11 people whose computers or cell phones or tablets are logged in on their account. And then what their status is if they're logged in shows up at this tiny little icon. So Dick Vogel right now is on his computer logged into Discord, and it is currently active, whether he's got it open or not, but it's open. He hasn't closed it. And then those people who have a little half moon or quarter moon on here opened it at some time. And then when they were done, they just clicked the close and said, okay, I'm done for now. I've closed it. Well, no, you haven't closed it, because sitting down in your status on your window, there's the Discord icon. And what you have to do is right click on it and say exit. And now it hasn't minimized to your system tray, and you are completely off. Stan found that out because one of his tabs was on Discord and the video channel was open, and we started talking on Coffee and Chat, but he hadn't thought he logged in, and it was his old account. So he heard me talking, but he couldn't turn his screen on because he hadn't been logged into the account that was currently active. So the old account was active while the new account was also online at the same time. So anyway, if you're concerned about privacy and you truly do want to be disconnected from Discord, then don't just minimize it. And I think you can actually go down here and log out. Let me just see. I don't remember. Let's see if I go down and click on that. Online, idle. You can actually change, make yourself invisible, but you're still connected.
What's the green dot beside me?
Green dot means you're online and active. So Dick Vogel and I, for example, could do a text chat right now.
So I've signed in and it doesn't take my password, and I email them for another password. And
I see it. Yes, I see you are.
They don't come back to me.
Yeah, you are on. So if I actually say hi, Forrest, I see you are online, and hit enter. Now that opened up a chat message to you. And what was the last time? April 1st we did this.
I have no idea how to get to that, brother.
So you're seeing this left column, but you're not seeing the little CFCS?
I see nothing that you have up there.
Okay.
It's like I haven't even signed in.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's asking for verification required.
That's why. So it wants you to finish the verification. Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
My email and my password, and it didn't work. Then I applied for a new password. They said they'd email me one, and I haven't gotten anything.
Okay. So it reconnected you, but it didn't give you access. Okay.
Right.
It should. So interesting that it puts you in. Well, since this one is active, and let's see which one it is. It's Forest 3069. Okay, I'm going to go down to the old one. Let's go down here. And that's the 3874. And I'm going to, let's see where I do this here, mod view. And, okay, I am going to kick you 3874 from here so that we don't have an overlap. You still have that account, you'd have to close it, but so it doesn't confuse things. Duplicate account. So if that email is still active, Discord should have sent you an email saying you've been kicked from the CFCS server in that account.
They haven't sent me anything back, and I've checked my spam.
Okay. And I don't know how quickly that happens, but now, oh, that's interesting. Now that one is gone. Let's see if it's down here. Okay, and this one, 3069, is still active. Okay. Sometimes it takes a little bit to ripple through the system. Several people said when they came back, everything was in place. So
It still seems kind of weird that it disappeared from being online right after you deleted it.
yeah. And But the one I did delete, did I delete 3069? Let me see. Let's see. And I'm not going to kick that. So Discord, join, yeah, that's when you came in. Okay.
Oh.
We'll see what it winds up doing. At any rate, the default setting should be with everybody visible so you can see who's online at the time. Okay.
I'm sorry, Mike, I didn't hear what you said earlier. What's the right way to log out?
Oh, logging out. So since it wasn't hitting yourself, let's see here. Let me just look at this. Let me hit this one and see if under user settings, I think, yep, there it is. User settings, log out.
Okay.
I don't know why they put it. Let's see if I can actually move where that is. Let's see what's that.
Mike,
If I can
I
actually.
found it.
Yeah.
Mike,
Yeah.
I found that if you go to the icon in the taskbar, right click it and say close window, you are logged out and you disappear.
Okay. And I still see you.
Oh, I haven't done it. Okay, I'll do it now.
Okay.
I'm gone.
Yep. That did it. Okay. So you're not even sleeping. Now, if you had just closed, it is minimized to the taskbar essentially. So if you just closed this, I'm not gone, and then I'm in my taskbar, and I just click on it and I'm back. And you're back. Yep.
But I've
Yeah,
been doing,
I
I've
find
been,
the only way to log out of Discord is to go into that little caret menu in the right hand corner in the task tray and right click on it and say quit.
Okay.
but I'm using my browser to access it. When I close the browser,
Ah,
Oh, there's a
yes.
difference between using the browser and using the app.
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right, so when I do close the browser, I am logged out.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Yep.
yes, yeah. If you're using the app, like Mike is talking about right now, and you
Got it.
close the app, you're still in the system tray.
Got it. Yep. Yep.
And I should probably say something about that. So let me go ahead and bring up Discord. Let's see. No, that's not what I wanted. I'm working on that. Let me just go in here. Okay, so I thought I had brought it. So let me just go and open this up. And let me bring this over here. I'm just going to say discord.com. And I'm going to, of course, right here is where I get the Windows app. And if you go all the way down to the bottom, it will show you all the apps that are available. Well, famous last words. I thought it did. It may be on a different page. Hang on just a moment. So I guess I'm going to have to go to download, discover, blog, careers. Interesting. So they're not showing all the apps. Let's see if it's under discover. Let's find your community. Oh, download, of course. Any device. Okay, there you go. Download for Windows, Windows 10 or higher, iOS, Android, Linux, Mac, and apparently it's a public test build with new features, which I am not going to mess with. So having this as a Windows app for my Windows computer, I find it's easier to get in, easier to get out, and perhaps more features. I haven't lately compared them, but it'll download to your wherever you put it, and then you double click on it and you install it, and then you log in. And if I just say open Discord, it's already open. So I wonder if it's going to open it again in my browser. Let me just see what it does. Yep, that's what it did. Okay. Yeah, see, they're even telling me I should get the Discord app. And this is probably what Forrest is seeing, because he's not actually seeing CFCS. It's just giving him the Discord.
It came up that you had invited me, and then it looked like I was getting into it. It was back now to verify my email again.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to make sure it's you.
The
Okay.
password again.
Okay, I'm going to close that. And I'm going to hop out. Okay, Paul, we missed you. Your screen was blank, so I'm back to you. What's been happening in your neck of the woods?
Just shut it off his monitor.
You don't want to participate, and you turn me off. Okay.
Hold
No,
it. All right.
your turn.
Okay. Logistical bump. So you can hear me, right?
Gotcha.
So the last 3 days, I finally joining the real world on phones, and I've now upgraded from my iPhone 8 to an iPhone 14. I've had the 14 for some time now. I just wasn't ready. Uh, so anyway, so I prepared very well, and I did the phone to phone data transfer. And that went really well until I got to the phone number, which wasn't going forward. I called Apple, told them what I was doing. They said, "Well, you can't do this because you've got uh, a SIM card in your iPhone 8, and it won't transfer electronically. So you got to call the carrier." Okay, so I call AT&T, and he said there's a block on the phone, and that upset me quite a lot. And so I said, "Okay, I'll go to the AT&T store tomorrow morning." Well, I went down there. This was 2 days ago. What's today? Today,
Wednesday. I mean, Tuesday.
Monday? No, Tuesday. So I went down there Sunday and said, "Hey, I got the two phones here. I need the number transferred." Okay, it takes me over to a computer. What's the IMI number and all that stuff? And bing, bang, boom. 2 minutes later, it's done. So uh, it's up and running. So I leave. I go home, and there was a couple more setup things to do, and I resolved all of them except one, where it wanted me to put in my iCloud stuff.
Quick interjection. When he did his bing bang boom and it was all done, did you actually wind up with a new physical SIM card, or did they take the SIM card out and you got electrical SIM?
There are no SIM cards in the phones.
Virtual SIMs, yeah, electrical SIMs or whatever.
Right. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
they call them eSIMs.
I'm not sure when they ended the SIM cards. My wife's got a 13, and that doesn't have a SIM card. So, uh, everything from here on out is electronic SIM. So if I get a new iPhone like a 15 or 16, I'll be able to transfer the phone number because it's all electronic because they're eSIMs. So I thought you could do all the videos I watched. I was under the impression you could do it, but when I called Apple, they said no, but you can't do it. So okay, so I get home, and it was one issue where it wanted me to put in my cloud information, and the screen slid over and it said continue, but it wouldn't continue. And so I go back to settings, and there's a red banner there that says do this and all that stuff. So I call up Apple and I have them remote in and spend a bunch of time on it. So the next morning I go back to the AT&T store, and I walk in with the 14, and I said, "I got this." I'm going to call it an error message. I said, "I got this error message. I can't get past it." So he works on it for a pretty good while, and he can't get past it either. So then he's playing with the phone, and this other guy, who I assume might have been a manager, higher level person, and he spent some time with it. And then he goes off to do something else with somebody. And then the first guy is working with me. And after doing a bunch of stuff and signing in and out of the iCloud, he signs me out for like the third time. And he brings up this other menu, but it went so fast. I asked him what he did and where he got to this. And, and then he had me sign back in. But by that time, when I signed back in, uh, I think that ship had sailed already. So I wasn't sure how he got there. And but anyway, when we went back to the settings screen, the problem was resolved. So it had something to do with turning these switches on that were turned off that possibly should have been on. And I came across a menu tonight that looked similar to it, but that could have been it. But I mean, I could see the menu while I'm signed in. So hell, I don't know. If I had to sign in and out, but we were just doing a lot of stuff. So he was. So now it's all up and running, and I couldn't, my iPhone 8 was signing into the cloud because I've only got 5 gig of storage. And that's all I really need because I offload most of my pictures to my computer. So I only, I go on vacation, I do a data dump, a picture dump. So when I did the transfer, the new phone won't upload to the iCloud. And, I knew it was just too much stuff, but I saw there were some pictures that might have came back. I mean, it's like some stuff grew. I don't know. It was really hard to put my finger on it, but I said, all right, I'm going to have to do what I did before and just eliminate some of these duplicate pictures or pictures that I don't care for too much. And I think I slimmed another 200 pictures out of there, and it uploaded this afternoon. So now everything is good. I got like 800 pictures on the phone. My wife's got 4,200 pictures. And so that's working real good. I've just been busy with all kinds of stuff. I really don't have. Oh, yeah. Okay, so maybe a year ago we talked about my wife's MacBook, Mac 50. Let me get the words right. Mac Pro 15, something like that, 15-inch, not an iMac, just a regular laptop. So she couldn't use the mouse, and I had taken it apart, and I found a piece of plastic on the battery that was pushing against the case. So I cut it off, and that resolved the problem. And it's been working good for the last year. So last week, or a week and a half ago, she says the mouse ain't working. So the mouse was what was not working. So I take it apart, and I said, okay, I'm going to need a battery for this because this battery is getting, I could see it growing, but the battery has got 6 independent cells, and it comes down like a triangle, and the center cells are the tallest ones, and the end cells are the shorter ones. But the end cells were the ones that really had the most thickness, and the center cells didn't. But in the time being, I did some creative engineering, and I put some foam rubber on the chassis and this and that in certain places, so I was able to get the bottom closed mostly, and I got the trackpad running. In the meantime, I ordered a battery, and so she used it like that. And then last Wednesday, which is like almost a week ago now, I got the battery, and I took it apart, and I think things are starting to go downhill. I think the foam rubber was collapsing or whatever. So, I watched a lot of videos. I did my homework. I was all ready. I was prepared. And there's 2 different kinds of the same model. the trackpad wiring, ribbon cable, and most of them goes over the battery, and you've got to remove this ribbon cable. And the kind I've got, the ribbon cable goes under the battery in a little channel, and it goes over to the motherboard. So I couldn't really find that one, and but I watched everybody take the battery out, which was no problem for me. And so I took the battery out, and I'm looking at the trackpad, and I'm going, I'm going to put the, and the trackpad is just a metal plate about 4 inches, 3.5 by 4, whatever square. And it goes up and down ever so slightly. It is hinged at the top, and it moves on the bottom. So I'm looking at this thing, and there's an adjustment, and I adjust it so that it clicks the best. And I'm looking at the battery, and the battery that comes has got this plastic cover on the bottom where the adhesive is on the new battery. And I'm looking at all this adhesive and going, this is going to stick to the trackpad, maybe. And if I drop this battery in and it sticks to all the chassis, I'm going to have to start, taking my putty knife and getting this thing out of here. And if I puncture the battery, I'm just envision, the worst scenario. I'm thinking the worst scenario. And I'm going, I'm not putting this battery in until I kind of think this out a little bit more. And so what I ended up doing, a little more creative engineering, the case that the battery came in, it was a clear case. Of course, it came in cardboard, but there's a clear case, and the bottom is molded with a lot of ridges, and the top is completely flat, and it's really thin. It's like a 64th of an inch. It's really thin. So what I did is the center batteries, the adhesive is about a 2-inch square roughly. So I cut out of this plastic stuff 2 of these 2-inch squares, and I put it on the adhesive. And then I put the battery in, hooked it up. Everything's good, playing real good. And I go, I'm missing something here. He said, something's not right. Now, I know somebody was into this computer before because the center two batteries, the battery contact, which comes off I don't have a picture of it. The top of the battery contact has got like this connector, and it's got some electronics in this little plastic tray between the connector and the battery, and it's screwed down to the chassis, and there's a screw missing. So I knew somebody was in there. Plus the fact this battery, from the last time a year ago, it was too easy to get out. It was just too easy, because the adhesive had been broken once before. The battery's been removed and put back in for whatever reason.
So you bought this computer used originally?
We bought this used from a Mac computer store.
Okay.
And I forget the name of it, but it's local here, Yeah. So they were pretty reputable, So, so I knew somebody had been, or the batteries, or some kind of work had been done on it. So I get everything running, and but I said, I'm missing something here. Because I see all these batteries going into these other units, and I can't see the trackpad. There's like a plate there or something, but I can't tell because nobody ever talks about it, and I can't get anything concrete on it. So now the job's done, everything's good. The next day, I'm on my computer, and I got all these tabs about the tabs that I had saved, my bookmarks, right? So I'm just kind of looking at the stuff, and I had these other bookmarks I hadn't looked at on track replacement. Because a year ago, I wanted to know more about the trackpad. So I started to look at these trackpad, and I come across this video where this gal was replacing a trackpad on the exact same computer I had, the same configuration. So, she takes the battery out, okay, piece of cake, and then she's got to rip up this metal plate that's above the trackpad, and that's what was missing in this computer. There's a metal plate above the trackpad that was totally missing. And when she took her metal plate off, it was basically just thin sheet metal. So when she took it off, it's just adhesive. There's no screws. So, I mean, it got, the form had all kinds of ripples in it now. So anyway, so she replaces the she replaces the trackpad, and she says, well, I can't put this thing in. It's all, she didn't have that piece. And this is somebody, who looks like she did it for a living, because she was all set up to do computer repair. She had all kinds of parts and tools and everything. And so anyway, but she did not put this, and that was missing. That's what's missing in our Apple computer is that plate. And I'm sure you can get it from Apple, and you just probably take off and just adhese it back down. But with it being rippled, that could have contacted the battery or the trackpad, and I mean the battery would have stuck to that piece of metal if she put that down, because the adhesive on the battery is fairly strong, and that little plate they took off was that would have come right out with the battery if they took the battery out again. Whatever, that's another story. But anyway, so I did the right thing by insulating the adhesive on my computer, on my wife's computer. So everything's good. So that's the piece that was missing in the equation. I couldn't put my finger on until I saw the actual last video. So that's been my last week.
You got a working computer for another couple of years.
Yeah, I mean the computer works good. She's happy with it, and I think I did a good fix on that.
I'm not an Apple expert myself, and I've never really used Macs, but is there a life to the hardware where, kind of like with Chromebooks, they say, okay, we're only going to update the software to a certain point, and you're going to have to go out and get a new one? Is there a life to your MacBook?
Yes. My wife's last Mac. Now it's been several years now, but I think she was having problems because that computer wouldn't
Wouldn't upgrade to the latest version.
wouldn't upgrade to the next software version.
So how many versions do you like? We know that Windows 10 is basically going to expire next fall in October. But a lot of people are going to continue using the computers unless Microsoft sticks something in there to prevent us. Is there anything like that with the Mac, or can you keep using it and just not have updates?
Well, she does, I guess, little mini updates on the computer. When it wants to do an update, she gets a message, like we get in Windows 10 to do an update, and she gets those, and then she does the update. But, their operating systems are like, Leopard and Tiger, and they got all of these names for it, right? You know that. So she's got the latest one in there, and, I don't know if they're coming out with another, cat, or whatever the next one might be, whether that computer can handle it or not. But I mean, the computer's still doing fine for what she does, which mainly is just Facebook and emails.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Okay, last round. We've been on for an hour and a half. Anybody have any closing questions or remarks before we?
I do have just one passing real quick. I know I was going to talk to you, Mike, about the Discord. I know I used to log in, and I'm real confused at what you do. I'm gonna have to talk to you about this offline, but I know I've got two passwords for that, and
Yes.
and I've got a website somewhere in the computer that comes up. I can invoke it, and when I go to log in,
You can do the same thing Forrest just did. So if you want to write it down, you've got a Discord account called Paul Colton, all lowercase, and you've got a Discord account, Paul Colton 9824,
I've got two passwords,
and
one for,
probably one for each of those. Yep.
but I just don't know what to do with that stuff, Mike.
Well, what you do is you go to discord.com and attempt to log in.
I think I've done that. I don't think I was able to get in.
Well, knowing that the username on one is Paul Colton and the other one is Paul Colton 9824, pick the one that you're able to log in, and if you're successful, then I will boot the other one so that you only have one to mess with.
Mine never did send me back a password.
Okay.
I'm not sure how I found how I don't know how I found how I was able to find the site that I had. I don't remember what I did.
Okay.
Well, if you go to the discord.com website and you try and log in you have two accounts. So if you don't know the password, type in account A and it will try and do a password reset to an email address that you may or may not have. Then try the other one and it may send you an email that you may or may not have.
I remember it said your email is verified, and that's I think where I stopped. I couldn't go forward from that point on.
Yeah, Forrest is that kind of at that situation now too.
Yeah, I requested an email, another email that's supposed to send me an email with reset a password, and it's been over 30 minutes and I haven't gotten anything.
And that does happen sometimes.
So it's possible that account, when you created it with a different email that you're expecting the mail to come.
No, I've only used one email.
Only one, huh?
Well, I've had 13 when I was working, but never at home. That was only a business. I never used them here.
Worst case is, and I think that happened with Donna Armitage when she finally came on, is basically just create a third one or a fourth one or whatever it is.
I think I know what I did. I think I used one of your links in your email, Mike, to start the
And it invites you.
invite me, and then I think it then of course I've got the passwords saved in the password saver on the computer, and it auto-filled the fields.
What I'm going to do again is just bring this up here.
I think that what might be happening with some people is if you click on the invite link, and some people already have created their Discord account, and other people click on the link and they have not yet created their Discord account. And if you go through and create your account first, and then click on the invite link,
Right.
you're better off than if you try and combine creating an account and joining the server at the same time.
And typically when I've posted things to the TechSIG Google group, that's what I've said. Go to discord.com, log in or create your account as the case may be, get the password stuff resolved, and then come back to the email that was sent out with the invite. And now, and I guess I forgot to mention this right up front, our new landing page is established. It's on Blogspot, but if you type in cfcs.org, it goes right to it, forwards to it. And this will always be the current invitation link. It's good for 7 days, so once a week I've got to go and put a new one in, but that's easy for me to do. So anytime you're looking for the invitation, I mean, you can send me an email and I'll do it. But the easiest thing is just go to cfcs.org and click. After you have resolved your actual Discord account, then click on the invitation and it should take you right to the BBS.
Okay, so I've just brought up, I'm just logged into my email now and I brought up something from you, Mike, and it says it's preparation for my presentation tomorrow. And then halfway down it says, if you're not already on the CFCS Discord bulletin board, here's an invitation link. And let me click on that.
Well, but if it's not this link, if it's not JTZEDPM, that link is no longer active.
Okay.
The other thing I found out, and I didn't know this until I went through this a couple of times, people would say, send me a link, and I'd create one. And when you create a new link, the old one goes away. And I didn't realize that. So this will be the way that I send people to Discord in the future. I just say, go to cfcs.org, get your account straightened out with discord.com, and then go to the invitation link.
Of course, during COVID, I remember I used to log in to the account like solo and then write up my stuff in it. I think I always had access to do that. Yes, no?
I don't know.
Okay.
At this stage in the game, right now, there's only 2 levels of membership. I think there can be 5 or 6. So at the moment, there's an administrative level, which is me for now. And it will be anybody that's on the coordination committee.
So is there a default address for me?
No, you just, I don't understand the question.
Is there those addresses you just had up there? Is one of them specific to log into?
It's for everybody.
For everybody.
Yes. If you are already a member and already logged in and already verified, and you go to the current Discord invite, it will open up Discord in your browser and you'll be in the CFCS.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to have to.
But it's only good for 7 days and 50 activations. So what you should do is once you're in, if you're using your web browser, bookmark it. And then the next time you want to go, you open your web browser, click on the bookmark, and you're there. My recommendation is to download the app for Windows and just open the Discord app whenever you want to go in, and it goes to the last server that you were logged into.
Download the app for Windows?
Yeah, you weren't on or paying attention previously. All operating systems have their own Discord apps. There's an app for Windows, there's an app for Linux, there's an app for Mac OS, there's an app for iOS, there's an app for Android.
I'm talking about a computer, not a phone now.
You want to put Discord on your phone, you go to your Apple store or your Android store.
No. I'm talking about working on my desktop here.
Okay, your desktop is Windows. You
Right.
go to discord.com and you go to the download link and you will see the ability to download a Windows 10 and above app.
Will this work on Windows 7 anymore?
It will, I believe. There's maybe a different app for that.
All right. Well,
But under Windows 7, just access it from your browser.
I don't want to take up. I took up more time on this than I thought I was going
Okay.
to.
We'll do a session on
Yeah,
that
okay.
together.
Okay.
We'll get it worked out. Okay, guys, enjoyed it? Take us away,
Very much.
Stan.
Time for dessert.
You're muted, so you can't take us away until you unmute.
I'm unmuted. I was just gonna say, thanks for coming. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Okay. Good night, all.
End the
Alrighty.
I'll
recording.
be in coffee and chat tomorrow morning for a while.
Thank you.
Mike, are you going to the Cheddars?
No, Joyce, I think you know Joyce said it.
Right. I just okay.
End the
Right.
recording,
I
Mike.
hope she feels better.
Yep, me too. Okay, I gotta end the meeting. I can stop the recording. Okay.